Welcome to NinjaCast, a photography podcast powered by Studio Ninja, the world's highest rated business management app, built specifically for photographers. Listen and learn as the most successful photographers on the planet share their knowledge to help you transform every element of your photography business. Here's your host, Sally Shaw.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of NinjaCast. Today I'm joined by the lovely Abby Wilkes. We're going to be covering all sorts from keeping the spark alive in your business, right through to how to stop comparing yourself to other photographers and focus on you and your business. Let's get started. Hi Abby, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Sally. Good to meet you.
You too. Thank you so much for coming and joining me on the show. I'm really excited for this episode. I think our listeners are going to get tons out of this.
I hope so. Looking forward to it. Absolutely.
So, Abby, for our listeners that might not have heard of you or aren't sure who you are and what you do, can you give us a little bit of a backstory of your time in the industry?
Oh, gosh, Sally, how much time do you have? No, just kidding. So, hi, everybody. I'm Abby. I'm Dutch, but I've been living in the UK, probably over 28 years or so. I met my British husband, many years ago in New Zealand. And I was already excited being Dutch. Oh my gosh, going to live abroad. Very exciting. And photography wise, that only came to be really honest, after I had children. Mm-hmm. I've always loved photography, but when I was younger, and I even considered going into the profession of as a photographer, but my parents, very loving, but very formal, said, "Oh, darling, photographer, really not, where you can earn the money." And I was really the good girl then. Lots has changed since then, but I was like, oh, okay, then. So I decided to become a secretary. Well, okay. I'm not going to talk about that, but it didn't work out very well. So at that time, I just decided, okay, that's it. I just had enough of everything. I was a secretary and I didn't particularly enjoy it. And then I decided pretty much, I'm just going to do the things I always wanted. One of them was actually travel. So I traveled for about 2 years. And during that travel, that's actually where my photography again reignited again. So I really love to do that, although I was very shy. So it's very difficult to approach people when you're very shy. But again, make a long story short, met my husband, moved to the UK, we had children, took photos of children, and then when friends said, "Oh, really love your photos." At first I thought, of course, well, you have to say that you're my friend, right? So, but then, more people said that. And I thought, let's do a course for photography. I did a course with Annabelle Williams. Of course, she was really the photographer because I loved her style. And she was actually one who encouraged me to actually take it further. She really said, Abby, you really have to do something with photography. I can really see, you have that connection with, the people you photograph. And at that time, I actually set up another business. I know, it just never stops. As because we're small children, for believe it or not, a very exciting and sexy antibacterial hand spray for children, for schools. And it was actually fairly easy to set up that business. And well, if I can do that with that, why can I not set up a photography business? So again, did another course with Annabelle Williams, which I'm very grateful for. They really helped me with regard to pricing. So really priced myself at the right level straight away. And that was 17 years ago. So yes, I started as a family portrait photographer. Absolutely loved it. And again, through 2012, I had a bit of a hiccup. I might mention talk about it a little bit later. And after that, I really decided, what really excites me. And of course, I love children, but I couldn't really see myself in my 40s, 50s, because I do play football with the boys. I do climb the trees and all that, but I couldn't really see my doing that actually in my 50s. So I thought, I really have to plan a little bit ahead. So what else do I love doing? And again, was the time that all the online businesses came up. So I thought, let's do the brand photography. So I did that for probably about 6-7 years. Then COVID hit. Holy moly, that hit big time, because I was traveling all around the world. So I was actually called out in Australia doing a photo shoot there, and I wasn't able to get back. So yeah.
How long were you there for?
In total was there in principle I was there for a month, but I was there for another 3 weeks because I could not get a flight. back.
Oh my goodness.
And luckily I booked it through a travel agency. Another thing, if you do destination photography, something I've learned, travel agency, because it's much easier to change things when things do not go according to plan. One big tip if you want it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and in the end, I decided just to bite the bullet and actually bought a rather expensive one-way ticket back to the UK, because I thought, okay, if my photography business has some kind of chance to hopefully survive this era or whatever it is, this like moment, I have to be back in the UK. So again, things changed big time, and I'm still going through that change a little bit, but I can really tell that it's picking up. And during the COVID again, lots of people decide to come into brand photography, which I think is absolutely fantastic. But I love to challenge myself. I really thought, okay, great. Yet I want to be different. So how am I going to be different? And that's when the soul photographer came out. Happy to talk a little bit more into detail a little bit later. So again, and that's where I am now, and very exciting, and slowly, ever so slowly, making that transition again to travel with that as well. So yes, here I am, Sally. Here I am.
What's the journey you've been on, Abby?
Yes, great.
Metaphorically and physically, by the sounds of things.
Absolutely, yes.
So you mentioned there briefly, talk us through 2012. I mean, we've kind of chatted briefly before. You nearly lost your business, right? You had $400 in your bank. Times were tough. Like, what happened? How did you get through that? How have you come out the other side and you're still going?
It was so scary, I have to say. I literally, as I said, I had about $400 in my account. And I was being a photographer, just being a photographer. And I loved photography, but what I had slightly neglected was, of course, the marketing side, that you have to be proactive and get out there and, find your audience and all of that. But again, I was a photographer. I loved what I do, and that's just, I thought that would be enough. And the hard way, I found out that is not enough. And my husband asked me the question, well, what's it going to be, love? Is it going to be a business, or is it going to be an expensive hobby? I did not like him at that very moment when he asked that question. I have to be honest. And but I'm very grateful that he asked that question, because it was like, how dare you? How dare you ask me a question like that? Of course I love my photography. And he said, okay then. So what are you going to do about it? So I really had to sit with myself. Okay, where are my weaknesses? Why is this not working? Yes, I love my photography, but of course, obviously, it's not enough. So I actually had to borrow money. Very scary, to book myself onto a marketing course. So I booked myself onto a very intensive marketing course, and I still feel sorry for the people who ran it, because I asked at least 5,000 questions. Everything was about, why this? What about this? Da, da, da. And all the time I was like, yeah, and I'm sure there's Abby's going to ask this question again. But to make it long, so that was really, yes, here I am, because I want to get value for money, of course, because this is such a big investment, and this is it. It's like make or break. And I have to say, during that marketing course, which was very good, they really asked, okay, what are your passions? What really, really makes you happy in your heart? Well, it's travel and photography. Then they said, well, combine that then. Yeah, well, that's easier said than done. I'm not I don't do wedding photography. I do a little bit, but I don't, promote it as such. And I said to them, well, I'm not a wedding photographer. And they said, well, who says it's just for wedding photography? I said, well, I can't imagine people taking me on holiday with them. And hi, click, click, here I am, your photographer. And he said, well, why not? I'm like, yeah. Good question. Why not? So then during that marketing course, we really talked about how to really promote that. And then literally the day after the course, I had a pre-shoot meeting with somebody, and she said, oh, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm a destination portrait photographer, because that's what they said at the market. And I thought, well, I don't do it yet, but I will do it if you ask me to. So, and I said, oh, she said, well, that's very interesting, because some very good friends of ours, they own a villa in Mystique. I mean, if you really like your photos, we are happy to recommend you. And I was like, well, here we go, so. And to make a long story short, 6 months later, I was actually flown out to Mystique to actually photograph this family on their holiday, pretty much, or at their place. And again, I had photographers who said to me, oh, well, that's pure luck. It's just a one-off. I love it when people say that, because I go, yeah, bring it on.
Mm.
Bring it on. I'm actually going to prove you wrong. And again, 5 months later, however, like it was, I went on a skiing holiday with people, and then I went to South France, and then and I thought, oh, I like this. I really, really like this. So again, so very, very grateful. I was not, again, that I'm not talking about weekly basis. Okay, let's stay realistic here. This is probably once every 3 months. Again, it takes a fair bit of organizing, all of that. And again, it's a very kind of like intense that you really work with your customers as well. And they almost kind of, well, they pretty much become friends as well, because you really work so closely together. Absolutely love it. And then again, as I said, mentioned already before, I love the family photography, but I really felt kind of like, okay, I love it, but I really feel there's time for change. And then I had the opportunity to do some corporate or branding photography. They wanted white backgrounds. I go like, no, don't think so. Fine. But it's like, oh, can I just challenge you? Can we just really go into, okay, this was more for a law firm. And I said, okay, what part of the law, like, what do you do? Explain it to me. Was divorce, okay? How do you want to connect with your customers? Can I just take the photos? If you don't like them, I will then still do the white background. Make a long story short, they absolutely loved them. They started talking, and that is actually pretty much how it went. And then I thought, okay, with the branding or, photography, why not apply the destination photography too? And I thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. And my principal was like, well, I'm going to ask the question. So out of the 10 times that I asked, yeah, okay, once, but like, oh, that's interesting. I'd love to do that. That would make me happy. I did not expect every single person, of course, to take me, to a far-flung destination. Absolutely not. But again, I'm very grateful. And I started to get a reputation there. It was always like, well, Abby is never in the UK. And it wasn't. Because the last 2.5 years before COVID, I was flying all over the world, from photographing retreats to, photographing, amazing online business entrepreneurs.
And how do you find that you, did you market yourself for that? Once you became that destination portrait photographer, did you find that you really marketed yourself as that? Or was it more of a referral, word of mouth that made that grow?
I have to say I'm very grateful. It mainly is referral. But I'm a very nurturing kind of photographer. I always look after my customers, and not just like, hey, hi, here I am, this is a special offer. It's really like, how are you? Or I do remember that we talked about something, I found something, and I literally would just send it to them, inform them, hey, this is, you not even talk about my photography business. And I think overall, especially nowadays as well, I think that's also where you stand out, is to actually really show that you care, and not just have the numbers in your mind of what you want. And yes, it does take time to invest in that, and it is constant, but that is also kind of like how I feel, how I stay true to myself and how I run my business. Absolutely.
And I think you mentioned that, a lot of your clients, you end up becoming friends with them in the process.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the back and forth, isn't it? Building that rapport and that relationship, that actually they don't just see you as a photographer, they see you as Abby.
And I totally agree with you. Somebody compared it actually almost like dating. But okay, of course, on a different level, but it really is like, hi, how are you? Would like to get to know you. And then, you know what? I actually like you. Let's just take it to the next, what can I, and then, but then in the photography, really get to know each other. Because to me, the photography I just don't just turn up with my camera. It goes much deeper. And that's where, over time, it's not just a brand photography more in, but it is on soul level. And it is not even something that I said, oh, I'm going to call myself the soul photographer now. I was scared. I was so scared. I was like, who am I to even think or dare to call myself, the soul photographer? So I decided to check in with my customers. And, I'm very close to my customers, and I just asked them. I said, this is what somebody suggested to me, because I was happy with the soul brand photographer or brand soul photography. And they were like, no, absolutely not. You definitely see, into my soul. You see so much more. You see something that I actually don't see. I wish I had, but you actually show me that I have it. And so I was like, okay, very scary. I'm going to take the big step, and it was very scary, I have to say. So, but now I'm actually much more comfortable, and now again ready for the next step. So yeah, I'm very excited about all the changes. They always give you opportunities.
I do,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, I remember when we first chatted, Abby, and you said you're a soul photographer. And I'm like, that's the first time I've ever heard that term used. And that's exciting. This whole new genre of photography that you've stepped into and created, essentially. You've created this brand and this genre that, as a photographer myself, granted weddings, but I'm like, oh, what's this? Like this is intriguing. So how did you kind of find that process of stepping from brand photographer into being a soul photographer?
It's a very good question. I love that question. And again, it is not something that happens overnight. I would say it probably taken me in total probably about 3 years. And I always ask my customers for feedback, and it's always like, how do you feel? How did you feel beforehand? What were your worries? What were you concerned? How did you feel during the photo shoot? What really excited you, etc. And is that feedback again what they gave? Because I do listen, because that's how I learn. That's why every single time I ask, and they were talking so much. Again, independently from it is like you are seeing into my soul, and I thought, whoa. Again, I'm not aware of it because it kind of comes naturally to me. So, and then when somebody said, oh, that is actually really, really nice. I really like that. So, and again, and then I sit with that, and I really notice that the words that are being used, from, how they feel energetically, to the kind of questions that you ask. And it's also that fear of that imposter syndrome. Oh, can't call myself that. But again, there is the lesson in self, because why are we here? Sally, we are here to make a meaningful difference in the world. We are, whatever that is. And to me, and we are here for a very short period of time in this lifetime. And that's where I challenge myself. You know what? Let's just go for it. Really, let's just go for it. But again, it is asking feedback and literally and challenging yourself all the time. And why not?
Absolutely. That's the question, isn't it? Why not? What's the worst that's going to happen?
What is the worst that's going to happen? And again, I'm probably already at the stage in my life that I'm less and less attached to what people think or whatever. So, and I'm very grateful for that as well. But again, I know there are more women out there. There are more women out there who are coming and saying, you know what? Who cares in the end? Because you're not living life true to who you are. And I know that's not easy just like that overnight. And of course it doesn't happen overnight, because we're human beings and we have been conditioned from birth, from child. Yeah. And that is the beauty thing, we were talking about children. That's the other thing I love about having children. They are my teachers. My children are my teachers. I actually watch them, I observe them, I listen to them, and I ask them, because I don't want to be one of those people, whether I work with my own work, with my children or with my clients. It is like, you tell me what excites you, and I can tell, listening to you, and observing you, what excites you, because your face changes, you everything, and that's where that comes in. So it's not purely that photography, not purely okay, you're art child that I bring up. It's so much more, and that excites me about life.
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, you're obviously a very inspirational and excitable person when it comes to your business, Abby. So I have to ask for our listeners, what are your top tips for keeping that business spark alive, for enjoying what you're doing, and kind of re-inspiring yourself when you do have those days where you just think, oh gosh, I can't be bothered?
That is such a good question. Something I've learned fairly early, I have to say, in my business, I'm still very grateful for. It's actually also when you do a photo shoot, especially in the beginning, or you really have okay, you're doing it for the clients, but then over time, you know what? I want to have a play too, I want to so I started with literally then 10% of my images were for me, just to explore a little bit. And in the beginning, they were just for me. Then I would include them, in the presentation. And over time, again, have been in business long enough, I noticed that, okay, there was 10%, then it was 25%, then it was 40%. And now I listen to my customer's brief, of course, because they have expectations. There's certain things that they would like for their website, but I already tell them ahead, okay, that is very important, but I'm also going to challenge you, and we're going to play. We are so going to play. And that's also for myself. I need to play. I literally just booked a photo shoot with a good client of mine. When I said, okay, I said, it's time to play. I want to do something very different with, say, the wild, wise women. You know, they're women like at a certain age, you've got your experience, you're in life, in business. Show me that really beautiful, rough, but that knowledge, that experience you've got. And immediately said, oh, she said, I've got this amazing golden outfit, you know, like really, you know, trouser suit. I want to wear it with big feathers in my hair. And I go like, okay, then bring it on. Anything that you would like. And that's again, but again, it doesn't have to be that. It's that everybody has a small rebel in them. And again, I kind of have that myself. I am still getting that rebel out more and more, and I'm getting it out through my clients as well. But again, coming back to your question, play more. You know, you don't always have to be just there for the clients. Again, the clients that you feel you can be yourself with, call them, ask them, hey, you know what, I've got something in mind. Let's just have a play together. Let's just see what we can create. And again, and I'm very, very grateful. My customers say, yeah, I'm up for it. Fantastic. So literally, I'm just now ready. Planning, where shall we go to? You know, book an Airbnb. You know, we're find it very easy. Like last couple of years, like we just book an Airbnb. It's so much easier. I've had a client, you know, she just had a couple of friends, literally friends of hers come over. We do the photo shoot first. Then she just have friends over. Of course, I can stay a bit longer. So we have a tip or whatever. And then they just have, you know, their friends. All those beautiful things, play, and try something different. You know, try not to go for the typical. We have so often that we compare ourselves with other people as well, and we think that they are better. But don't forget, you know, people actually compare themselves to you as well, because they think that you are the one. So again, it's okay to compare, but don't make that you actually think that they are any better or in whatever capacity that you are. Stay true to yourself, because otherwise you cannot grow to your full capacity.
Absolutely. Comparing yourself as photographers, I think we're all guilty of that, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Whatever genre you're in, there's always someone and you look, oh, they're doing so well. They've got weddings going on every weekend, several weddings, or they've got brand shoots constantly going up. There's new business all the time. Or, you know, you see on a Facebook group, oh, that person's had 50 inquiries this month. I've had 2. There's always a comparison, isn't there? So what would your advice be to our listeners to be able to step away from that and kind of distance themselves?
I would say like you know, I have a couple of people who I'm inspired to, and I just love, you know, reading about them, see what they do. But I would not compare myself to them, because everybody is unique. You are unique. The way you run your business, the way you see your photos, they are unique. The way you capture, the way you interact with your customers. So again, yes, you can be inspired, like, oh, I think that's a good idea. You know, I would like to use parts of that. But in the end, I actually think, you know, don't just look towards the future. So, okay, where to go to? What about your existing customers? Get in contact with them and just see like, hey, how are you? You know, when you see them on Facebook, and you don't have to, as I mentioned before, you don't have to talk about your photography straight away. Not at all. And even notice it now, you know, I have a quote for South of France to actually do a photo shoot there. And again, this is and she's not even a customer, but she said, you always ask how I am and you just interact with me. And when I was asked, do I know a photographer? Your name automatically popped up. And I go like, it is as simple as that. And then more now than ever, because we're being sold to constantly, left, right, and center. It's more important than ever to have that connection. To have the connection, to me, is number one. Absolutely.
Definitely. You mentioned before, Abby, about Wild Wise Women. So let's delve into that a little bit more. What is that project for you? Where's it come from? How is it helping to drive your business forward?
It's a beautiful thing. But again, you know, being the sole photographer, of course, it really is that soulful side. But I still see enough around me where especially women talking about, you know, what we talked about, comparing themselves, looking, feeling that they have to wear lots of makeup, get a whole new wardrobe and all of that. And I come from a place you actually don't. And I have no women approach me who said, well, actually, I don't wear any makeup. Is that okay? I said, yes, because this is you. Don't feel for the photo you have to be anybody else but yourself.
Yeah.
And it is my task, my mission to capture you in the most beautiful way, like how you are, because I come from a place, when you are yourself, and in like who you truly are, that's how you resonate to the people that you want to work with. We focus so much in only who is our ideal client. Yeah, but what makes you happy?
Yeah.
What makes you happy? And that's in the end is what it's all about. Like, so that's coming back to a Wild Wise Women. That's where I really was like, what? It is kind of like the women kind of like a little bit later in life. When I say later in life, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I actually very soon have a photo shoot with his 77-year-old. And I'm already creating crowns and big earrings and big feathers. And because she is a how do you call it, a script writer from Hollywood. And I cannot wait to photograph her. And that's what I call the wild, wise women. Like, it's the women who already have that experience, but you don't have to be in your 70s to be that way. It's coming in your 30s, 40s, it doesn't really matter, but we all have experience. But we actually think we are not good enough, or that the information we have or experience have is not of interest to other people. And that's, to me, I find like where I want to like step up and actually be the platform for those women, to actually bring them forward and actually show them to the world, because it is now more needed than ever. So with this all, I actually would like to put a call out to the women who are actually curious about that. Contact me. I'm sure there are going to be some contact details. Contact me and let's have a chat, because I so want to talk to you.
I love that. Fantastic. If you can add a final piece of advice, Abby, something that's made a real big difference to you, your business, your personal life, what would that one piece of advice be for our listeners?
Play. Seriously, play. I cannot say life is too serious enough. Just play. And yes, is the consistency and how often you have to show up, but stop sometimes in your track of the things that you think that you're supposed to do or you should be doing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing it. Here's the shoot. But you know what? Walk away, enjoy it a little bit more, and have some, like this Wild Wise Women again, or whatever it is, have some projects for yourself as well. Like something's like, what is your hobby? My hobby actually is still photography, but it's my playful, more playful side of my photography. Absolutely love that. Travel, bit of a challenge at the moment in Europe. I'm not sure whether people are aware of that, but again, my time will come again, and I can tell, it's all there. And to me, and don't push yourself too hard, because these can be challenging times. Also, I find, speak to enough fellow photographers, and they go, oh, it is so tough at the moment. But if it is tough, don't feel it is a fail if you actually find, for the time being, you have to find yourself an extra job. Yeah, there is no shame in that at all. So to me, it's like, whatever works for you, you are here in this lifetime to have a good time. So don't be too hard on yourself. Definitely not.
Fantastic. Abby, if our listeners would like to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing that?
Oh, Instagram. Definitely my favorite. So it's Abby Wilkes Photography on Instagram. Absolutely. Of course, there's Facebook. Follow me on Facebook. Things are changing on Facebook big time. I almost can't keep up, but that's probably me. Of course, there is my website, abbywilkes.com. And, those are the three I'm actually most active on, to be really honest. So, and I can't wait to hear if people are interested about the Wild Wise Women. Please do contact me.
Fantastic. Well, Abby, thank you so much again for coming and joining us, and for imparting all of your knowledge and expertise and sharing your projects with us. It's been really great chatting with you.
Loved it. Thank you, Sally. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. I'll catch you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much again to Abby for coming and joining us and chatting the last half an hour away with us. If you'd like to see more, you can head to www.studioninja.co/episode 67. As always, please don't forget to rate us on the podcast platform that you're listening on. A little bit of love goes a very long way. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NinjaCast, brought to you by Studio Ninja. Beautifully designed and super easy to use, Studio Ninja will help you manage your leads, clients, shoots, invoices, contracts, workflows, and so much more. To learn more or start your 30-day free trial, go to www.studioninja.co.